Burna Boy constantly. I would say, listen, he's a legend. To be
Yes.
honest, my music, my hype music is Afro beats, dancehall, and like American hip hop, and maybe kind of UK hip hop,
Right.
grime,
I
the
get it. Yeah.
mix.
Hello, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Today, I'm really super excited because I'm in the presence of, what do you call it? Property royalty?
Oh
Property.
please, man! I'm the jester. I'm not a king. I'm the jester in the court making the jokes, man.
I've got the one and only. How would you like me to announce you? Is it Tej Invests? Is it Tej Talks? Is it
Tej Talks is probably the bright yellowness. Tej Talks is probably what I'm
okay?
more known
Okay.
for now.
Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks.
How are you today, Tej?
I'm good. I'm busy. I'm just researching a new area to invest in. I've been speaking to some agents, which actually is being quite positive and productive. You know, I think people have a negative image of estate agents, but actually, I'm really enjoying sort of they just give me knowledge and helping me. So yeah,
Right.
I'm busy doing that today.
Okay, good. There's a lot that I probably want to get through. I don't have that much time, so I'm just thinking how I would do it. But let me start off by maybe saying, obviously, I've followed your journey from, I would say, early on, and so you're someone that I respect highly as far as property is concerned, and for more reasons than you might think. Because when I've started out in property again, like a fresh resurgence, maybe in the last sort of year.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of years ago, I went on like big trainings with names that I'm not going to mention, and didn't quite go so well. But I was listening to like resources and podcasts, and around that time, it's very samey stuff that I was hearing, and very sort of what's the word, like salesy. So it's like I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to a resource, but it was like they're trying to sell me their way of doing it. And then I don't know even how I stumbled across Tej Talks, but when I was listening, I was like, wow, this guy's not selling me a course. This guy is being real and honest and open, and this guy to some extent sounds a bit like me. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So I was hooked from then on. And then following your journey, it's been really amazing to see your massive rise to success. Let's put it this way. I think if you don't know Tej, or you don't know who he is, then I think you've been living under a rock. So we don't have to repeat what people potentially know. We can make this a little bit interesting. But there is a question that we have to kind of ask, like, why did you get into this? Why did you start? And maybe a summary of what it is that you do for that random person that doesn't know what you do.
Sure. So essentially why I started in property and what I do, right?
Yeah.
Sure. So I used to have a recruitment business for 3.5 years, and I think it's called like golden handcuffs, where you're making money, but you don't enjoy it, but you're making money. So you're kind of locked in it. And, I did that, before that, because I was in like pharmaceuticals, and I got fired because I didn't care anymore and lost interest and lost faith and ethical belief in their ethics, or total lack of ethics, should I say. And I then was like, oh, let's set up a recruitment business. It's kind of do it from home, do it from your laptop. It's not really cash intensive, not like property is. And then I think after a while, like, I love grand designs, I love amazing spaces. And I thought, I love interior design. And hey, who doesn't like passive income and assets? If I can combine the two, then happy days. So I then said, right, let's get into property. Kind of did the education. No, I didn't pay for any education. I did the podcast, the books, the networking, etc. But for me, the main reason was the freedom to wake up one day and just whatever, read all day, play Xbox, go for a walk, go in the gym for 3 hours, like just the freedom to do whatever the hell I like, but also the freedom to go in a shop, not Gucci, but like a reasonable shop, and pick something up and be like, put it in the basket. and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
be
yeah.
like, whatever, or, oh, I need a new t-shirt. Let me not have to wait for the sale. Let me, so
Mm,
just that, it's that financial freedom, I suppose. But I love interior designs. I don't think about the
yeah,
money. I think about the design. So that's why I got into it. What I do is I buy lots of buy to lets, so single lets, as boring and vanilla as you like,
yeah.
and do the buy, refurbish, refinance model over and over again.
Yeah, yeah, okay. That's awesome. A couple of things in there that definitely want to unpick. I'm just thinking of what order I would do it in. So we'll get to the strategy that you use, but touching on sort of designs. Now, I've seen a lot of your um, portfolios that you're putting on Instagram and the various social media sources, and like you've clearly got an eye for design, interior, and just how to put things together that look really, it looks really good. Like the stuff that you do is really good, and so it's interesting to say that that was kind of your your thing. But like, how did you? Is that just something that you found as an innate skill, or is it related to your? I know you're good with branding and all that kind of stuff. Is it just you have a way of visualizing things and putting a vision together, and that creative side to you? Like, where does that come from?
I would say that it's not an innate thing in me. I would say that actually in reality, even now with my designs, I'll still ask people, like, shout out to like May Green Investments. I'll still text him and be like, hey, does this stuff match? Because actually I can visualize things very well. I'm quite a visual person, I suppose, but like I just can't sometimes be like, okay, do they match? Is there something
Mm,
that's slightly, so when it comes to the real nuances and kind of things, I have to still, not as much as before at all, but ask someone who I trust and say, just to confirm, does this look good? Is this what you would do? Um, I think most of it comes from, the creative. So as much as I'm a scientist, I'm also quite creative. So the branding,
mm,
it comes from that. It comes from, right, what looks good, grey cabinets, black handles, marble effect worktops, and kind of following themes. And because I've seen so many grand designs and I'm on Pinterest and I look on Instagram at houses, you kind of build up a thing of, okay, those go together.
you know
Those,
what works. Yeah,
those maybe don't. So
yeah,
I've learned really.
yeah. But because I would definitely say that you're very good at it. So I mean, I'm taking notes like, okay, this is what works. But so you do have now an intuitive sense of, if I'm doing like a kitchen, I need to have like X, Y, Z, and this color and that color, and these colors don't match. And
I think it changes in every property. So when I look at the space, so if I have a really small space, I
yeah,
might think, let's do a white matte kitchen, or I wouldn't do gloss. But then I think, oh, if I've got a big space, let me do like I've done a dark navy kitchen, because it just sucks the light out, which is kind of what you need, because this room has high ceilings, big features, big radiators, big everything, that actually I need to kind of rein it in a bit. And then with the floor, for
yeah,
example, it was herringbone, which is quite a busy pattern. Again, it's such a big space that if I used a lighter pattern, it would still work. But I thought, you
right,
know what, let's, all white walls, let me just get some texture in it, some feeling. So
yeah,
it's all on the room that it's based in. Same with bathrooms. It depends on the size. If it has a funky little nook, should we do something with it? So
yeah.
yeah, it varies every single time.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And just for the record, if Tej ever brought out a book or an ebook or a course on how to interior design, I'd buy.
I'm
I'd
gonna
buy.
make one just to sell it to you then.
You got your first customer.
On you.
Okay, so you talked about your BRR strategy, and again, I'm going to assume that I'm talking to people who might not know what we're talking about. Like, what is that?
Sure. So I think traditionally the way of buying properties was you buy a house, you got a 25% deposit on a buy-to-let mortgage. Let's just say the house is 100 grand, argument's sake. You got to save up 25 grand. You buy it for 25 plus costs, and that's it. You rent it out, you make money off the rental, you leave 25 grand in there. Maybe in 5 years, if it increases in value, you're like, maybe I'll refinance it, or I'll just leave it in there, whatever. And
Mm,
then you wait another 4 years, save up 25 grand, and do it again. Now, the BRR model is you buy it up front with a 25% deposit, whether it's yours, whether it's an investor's, whether they fund everything, it's a whole nother story. But you buy a property in January, for example, you you need to buy it cheap, below market, unmortgageable. You want a shithole, basically.
mhm,
You buy
mhm.
it in January, you do your stuff, you do your refurb, blah, 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 February, March, April. Let's say it comes to sort of May time. it's all refurb, it's all tenanted, happy days. Okay, you've bought it with a non-mortgage product. At this time, you say, right, I'm going to put on a mortgage because, you know, the house is ready. I want it just to set for the next 25 years.
Yeah.
You do a mortgage, and that mortgage pays off all, more, or most of your initial outlay. Now, what that means is I get my initial pot back in 5 months. I've done it in 3 months, 3 days is my quickest.
Right.
How many of those could I do in a year with that same pot? Yes, you're shaving a bit off the top, but I could do 2 to 4 a year, whereas the old way is getting 2 to 4 every 10 years or something. So
Gotcha.
it's just a more efficient, but of course riskier, busier, more
Yeah.
intense way of buying property. And I think it's awesome.
It sounds awesome. And I guess that's how you've been able to get sort of, okay, so we'll get to the rap sheet now. So that's a nice little segue. How many properties have you been able to acquire using that strategy because it's been, how many years has it been for you sort of doing this strategy in earnest?
So I would say it's been lockdown. I don't even know what time or date it is, mate, so I could get this totally wrong. I believe I've been in property for just over a year full time. However, I stopped buying 3 months ago, 3, 4 months ago. So in the 9 months of doing BRR, I've purchased 15 properties. 12 are buy to let, so BRRs, and 3 are flips, so buy, refurbish, sell. So very, very similar.
I mean, you're saying that as if it's just like, you know, I've done, you've done a lot. That's a hell of a lot.
Hey, listen, I've aged
and you were
10
held
years.
back by COVID.
Yeah, well, yeah, very annoyingly, yeah. But honestly, mate, it has been the most stressful period I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
But
it's
what did I
massive,
expect, really?
massive, right? It's a massive achievement. I don't know, because I know of people who have, like, you know, done lots, but in the time that you've done it, that's you know, that's flipping amazing. And then on top of that rap sheet, you know, there's the you were able to raise 1.3 million in finance for those deals.
So 1.3 million is the value of the portfolio.
Sorry, value of the portfolio. Yeah.
But I raised just under £600,000 in, I think it was about 4 or 5 months. And again, I stopped because Corona. I didn't need any more money because I wasn't buying.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I think it would have been more, or it would have been the same.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. So you just need to kind of like walk to the street and be like, "Hey guys, I'm Tejs," and then just money.
I wish it was that easy. I'll tell you what, I wish it was that easy. But you know, it's a similar principle, right? Of the brand. The brand kind of walks on the street for me and says, "Hi, I'm Tejs." So yes, on a very, very top level, that's kind of what happens. But there's all this process in between it.
Yeah, no, brilliant. We'll talk about branding in a second, but so you've explained BRR strategy, and I understand it to be sort of you use single let, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of people who are talking loads about an HMO strategy, which is houses in multiple occupation, where you can have the potential to get more rental yield. Just curious to know why. Obviously, you know about that strategy, but you've gone with yours, and it's working for you. But did you ever consider HMOs, and what was your reason for not going down the HMO route?
Yeah, so I think like anyone who sees, you know, £800 to £2,000 a month profit from one house, you know, wants to do HMOs, and like definitely, I look at that and think that's just like one bloody property. I mean, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, the main reasons I don't do it are just because I want my portfolio to be as passive as possible. I don't want, oh, she stole my cheese. Oh, he stepped on my new Air Jordans. Like, oh God, I don't want to deal with you humans and your human crap. You just sort yourselves out. You're all adults, and you know, you have higher turnover, you have more management. So for me, you know, it's a great strategy, and I'm not knocking it whatsoever. A lot of my friends do it, and it's great. I just want as passive and as boring as a portfolio as possible, so that in 1, 2, 10, 20, 30 years, all I'm doing is every month rent come in, cool.
Yeah.
Light bulb broke, well, the tenant fixes it. And, you know, like I just want it to be as passive as possible, but it's a great strategy, absolutely great strategy, HMOs.
Yeah, but it works, and it's about finding something that works for you. And you've obviously, one of the things which I admire about you is, so I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, not just property, but just in general, you need to have an understanding of yourself. So, like, rather than look at the shiny coin syndrome thing, it's like, oh, this looks good, that looks good. I could get loads of money from supported living. I could get more from HMO. I could get this and that. You have obviously done some self introspection to know, okay, this is my temperament. This is what I can handle. But you've done like an amazing job at what you can do, and it's now the rap sheet shows that you've surpassed what others would have done. So
I appreciate
that's
that.
really
Yeah.
commendable. Really commendable.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Thank you. I mean, I
yeah,
honestly feel like I've aged 10 years, mate. The amount of moisturizer I need to still look young. Don't even ask me, man. This is what property does to you when you buy that many properties. Yeah. Trust me, it's very, very challenging, you know.
yeah,
I don't advise it.
right,
I don't advise it really. But I made it work. So
yeah,
how can I really say that? But it hasn't worked as well as it could have
right,
if I was slower, you know. If I was slower, maybe I'd have less properties, but maybe
right,
there'd be more profit. But I don't know, right? I don't know.
yeah, yeah. No, that's and I guess just to touch on your point, you said you wouldn't advise it. So why do you do it?
Um, well, now I've done it, I suppose it's easy for me
Sorry,
to
yeah.
say I don't advise
Why
it.
did you do it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think I did it because I had enough money, like savings, to live off for like a year or well, yeah, more than a year, I suppose. So I was looking at rent to rent firstly, which again I think there's a lot of people who hate it. A lot of it. I mean, look, I think it makes money. It works. If you need to quit your job quickly, rent to rent or deal sourcing is like the way. Buy to let are the slowest,
Mm.
most minimal income generating method of doing things quickly. I made a video on my YouTube and it was like how not to quit your job is what I did.
Oh, you did,
So
yeah, yeah.
I think I had to grow quickly because I was, I had to. If I was wanting to
Mm.
make money to then replace what I could have been earning and to live a decent life, I had to buy quickly because I said, you know what, forget my recruitment business, whatever, drop, I'm straight in property. And I wouldn't do rent to
Yeah,
rent just because I didn't need to. So it was mainly the own pressure for myself. But if I started again, I would probably get
a
one
few
rent to
rental
rent
rents
or one
just
rent
to
to
get some
SA and
cash
then
flow.
just
Yeah,
that's what I'd honestly, if you're doing buy to lets, like I'd recommend that as a little cheeky little start.
yeah, yeah. Okay, that's good to know. All right. So you mentioned something about humans and not dealing with humans now, or not liking to deal with humans. Now, there's a rise of systemization, right, happening a lot of industries, and I think property as well. What's your view on systemization? Now, this is from the context of, obviously, I've done a couple of trainings and mentorships, and people advise, oh, you have to have a million coffees and 1,000 follow-ups, and this and that. Like, um, is there a way to do that systematically, or to do property systematically, and to have any kind of automation, or is it 100% manual? And what is your view on systems in general?
I love systems. I don't use them enough. I have virtual assistants, but basically in lockdown, I just took on more of my work because I was like, well, I have nothing else to do, so I might as well. But
Yeah,
as soon as we kind of come out of it, pending what's happening in the market, things will be systemized and outsourced like a lot more. Um, systems are important. I think, you know what, a system can be as simple as a spreadsheet, like you kind of said, the viewings. It has, here's the viewings, here's the address, here's my thoughts, here's what I offered, here's the last day I spoke to the agent. And every week you look at it and say, that was 2 weeks ago, send an email, or your VA can do it. Something like that, I think, is you could call a system. So yes, you absolutely need those. And you also need them to track. So for example, with investors, I don't know how many you speak to, what, 40 before one actually gives you money, I think, like people sort of
so
say.
yeah.
you know how do you know when you've spoken to 40 without a system of keeping track and logging and checking? So
Mm.
I think when people say systems or hear us say systems, they might think, oh my god, like I have to use Asana and make Zapier integrations and all this.
Yeah,
And actually it could be a pen and paper, like it could be a spreadsheet. So yes, you can automate a lot of property, from viewings, from property management. You will use humans, I think, for a lot of it, like VAs,
yeah,
but it's still a system and it's still being outsourced. So it can be done, and I think it should be done. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I also enjoy doing lots of different stuff. I'm a bit of a scatter human.
Yeah.
So, yes, I don't do my accounts. I pay an accountant for that. But all my social media, I do
You do
everything.
it
I
yourself.
design
Okay.
the t-shirt, everything because I love it. But
Yeah.
viewings, I'll outsource because I don't love
Yeah.
them. Like, so
Right.
again, it's what you said before, whatever works for you, right?
Whatever works for you. Yeah. It's like what they say: do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Mm, if only, if only.
If only. But that's interesting. So, because I think the stuff that you do on your channels and your, brands, like it's top notch. So and it's good that you don't have to outsource that, because I think a lot of people, like, I believe that that is a skill. That's innate. So that's something that I think you've got going for you, as well as everything else that you've got going for you, but ahead of a lot of people, because I do believe that maybe this property journey, it's an entrepreneur's journey, I believe. And then there's skills that you need as an entrepreneur that, obviously sales is a great one, branding, marketing, messaging, and also how to package your products. But it's like, on some level, if you remove the property word from all of that, it's the same thing in any industry. And I think the fact that you had that experience is great, because I see a lot of people starting into property, but like fresh from sort of not doing any type of entrepreneurial activity. Do you think that someone like that might be not at a disadvantage, but might have a bit more of a curve to jump? Or
I would say my instinct was to say yes, they are at a disadvantage. However, it's kind of both. It's either or. I think they're advantaged or they're disadvantaged. Now, it's kind of like with anything, I suppose, because if you come from the entrepreneur background, you can work from home. You can do hours from 8 a.m. to midnight and you'll be fine. You can get used to the loneliness. You can understand your accounts and your marketing. And so you have a big, big advantage there. But also, you're used to it and maybe you're complacent and maybe you lack an angle of where a corporate person might come in and say, I actually know the commercial aspect of this, but I ain't got a clue about bookkeeping. And so it's kind of like you're not disadvantaged or advantaged. You're both in equal measures. But if I look at myself coming from recruitment, being an entrepreneur for 3.5 years into now, it wasn't a big environmental change. I was like, well,
right.
I'm sitting in the same desk, spending the same hours. Whereas if you come from an office, you culturally, I think you can be disadvantaged because you're like, you walk in, hey mate, how was your weekend? Banter, chats, humans, meetings, and then you go home and you sit in your home office like, hi, myself. Great idea, Tej. What are you thinking, Tej? How was your weekend, Tej? And you're like, so I think culturally it can be a shock. That's one of the biggest things you don't expect.
I agree. And I guess just touching on that, like, let's say you have typically a transition from job to property entrepreneur or any kind of entrepreneur. You're moving from generally doing sort of one set of things day to day, because it's your job, to doing everything.
Everything.
And how do you know like what everything is? And because when you're in a job, you exist in an environment where, okay, someone's doing bookkeeping, someone's doing corporate stuff, someone's doing legal, but so I guess it's good that you had that advantage. Okay, I know we're almost at time, so what's going on with Tej at the moment that is really interesting? Anything you'd want to share or like draw people's attention to?
Well, at the moment, me and James Sahota, who I think you might have heard or seen him on the Property Duo, we're doing a 5-day. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. We're doing a 5-day property experience on-site visit. So he's got a HMO in East London. It's a mess. There's literally human feces on the wall. It's that much of a mess. So we're taking it back to brick, and we're going to take people on a 5-day site visit over 12 weeks to say, look, here's how everything goes, whilst also educating, helping them learn, giving them experience, feeding them, which for me is like as soon as me and James like, right, caterers, first thing we did.
Then we were like, sold when I saw samosas. I was like, yep, I'm in.
That's it, mate, 100%. We can't give like those dry little sandwiches like egg and cress and cheese. No, come on, we got to do this. Like, come on, we got to do this properly. So we're doing that at the moment. So if people are interested, let us know. We're starting in about from the date of this podcast in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, that's probably the most interesting thing. I mean, otherwise, I'm sort of, yeah, researching a new area to invest in. I am reading more. I'm not, honestly, it's not an answer you want to hear, but I'm just trying to keep myself sane, get these refurbs pushed in, finished, and just make stuff happen, before who knows what happens in the
What
future,
happens?
whether it's good or
What
bad.
next? Awesome. And then, so where do you see Tej in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years?
Oh Lord, now you're really getting into it. My personality is not the type that thinks that far ahead in terms of
Right.
tangible goals. So 20 years, no clue, because my mind's going to change 20 times in the next 20 years.
Yeah.
10 years, how old am I now? 26, 37. I mean, I guess the standard stuff, family, kids, all that stuff. But let's go to the closer goal, because that's something I can really maybe answer. Maybe 5 years, I probably won't be actively investing in property anymore. I'll have probably built the portfolio, done my business. I'll probably be loaning money to people like you and being like, look, can you do all the hard work, please? Like my investors say to me, I don't care about your tenants or your damp. Take my money,
just
do one, see you in 12 months. So I'll probably do that at that point. I'll hopefully by then have purchased my first residential to live in. If not, be in the process of self-building, like a mansion, a home, a marble castle to live in. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'll have different businesses by then. I've got ideas to launch like restaurants, garages, like for cars, a product business, whether it's food, whether it's like skincare, I don't know, something. So in 5 years, Tej will still be talking, but property won't be the
only thing that you
majority of
talk
what
about.
I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like your launch pad to sort of more world domination.
And it creates the passive income to then kind of do what you like and not have that pressure of who's paying the bills, because it's like, well, the properties are. So yeah.
That's amazing. Cool. So I guess you kind of are aware this is a car related show. It was meant to be a carpool initially. So my question here is, what is your favorite car? Do you have like a dream car?
Ooh.
And
you know what? I love cars. I think it's always been, when I was a kid, it was a Lamborghini Murcielago. So that was if anyone's seen Batman Dark Knight, I think it's the one he has in grey. I think, but I can't remember. But it's the older one that was just an absolute nightmare to drive. But it was beautiful because it was like before Lamborghini got bought by like Audi and before they became just another blah boring company, when they were crazy. I love that. I like any new Lamborghini. The Urus, the 4x4 is beautiful. All of them are beautiful. And what I really only like recently, which I didn't like before, is the Bentley Continental GT, because, and someone on my podcast has one, and I got to sit in it and go for a ride in it when we filmed the podcast.
Nice.
And I'm telling you, the interior is like a hotel. It's like the Ritz. It just smells like money. It's just, but you know what? The quality of Bentleys, I think it's undeniable. So yeah, they're stupidly priced, but yeah, I would say
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Listen, just sit in one, and you feel the difference, right? Like you feel the difference. So a Bentley Continental GT, only the brand new one, but a Lamborghini Murcielago would happy. Oh, and a Mercedes GT. What is it? GTR, the new one? What it's called? There's so many, man. But let's go with the Lambo.
You're a car person. You're like a car guy. Okay.
I love cars. I absolutely love cars.
Oh, okay, so that's probably why your vision for doing a garage comes into it.
Exactly, because my car's broken so much, so I'm basically mechanics.
Awesome. Okay, so a couple of other questions. Not property related, but just about you and personality. What music are you listening to, if anything, like on your playlist?
Burna Boy, constantly. I would say, listen, he's a legend. To be honest, my music, my hype music is Afrobeats, dancehall, and like American hip hop, and maybe kind of UK hip hop grime.
I get it. Yeah.
my chill stuff is like Daniel Caesar, HER, who else do I listen? Leon Bridges.
Wow. Okay.
There's so many, and I like I also like kind of church music, like Anthony Hamilton. I kind of like
Okay.
gospel
Like
stuff.
gospel style. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So honestly,
Very eclectic sort of
yeah,
range there.
it
Yeah.
really depends on the mood I'm in. But
Mood
like,
that you're in.
if you play Burna Boy, I'm moving. I'm like, I don't care what board meeting full of 10 CEOs with suits on, I'm dancing. So there's certain songs and genres that I just dance. So I don't listen to when I work because I can't work, right?
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
So,
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, because I'll be listening. I'm a bit of a music person as well, so I'll be picking out like, oh yeah, he's done that with the trumpets, or he's done that, and I can't really focus. So,
I feel
cool.
you.
It's a great answer. Two more. So, what book was the last book that you read?
The last book I read was actually Natives by Akala. So
Great, fantastic book. I listened to the
incredible
audiobook
book.
of that. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, you know what? I would listen to the audiobook just to hear him because I just love
yeah,
his prose, the way he speaks, his language,
yeah,
he should be prime minister, man. Forget all these idiots that we got. Um,
yeah.
that's the last book I read. I would say a book that I'm reading constantly is The Daily Stoic. Every
Daily
day.
Stoic. Okay, right.
I've got it here. So yeah, Akala was the last book I read.
Okay, awesome. All right, cool. So, lastly, you know, if you were to give advice to somebody who's started in property like today, what would you say?
Don't do it, mate. Run a mile. No, I would say, you know what? And it's the same thing I say to anyone who's like DMs me or asks me. You need to start at the end. You need to start, okay, what are my goals? And I call them sexy goals. So it's like, it can be materialistic or it can be whatever. It doesn't mean you're materialistic, but it just means, what are the sexy goals? What are yeah, I'll have that. I'll do with that marble worktop. Yeah, let's do this. Then bring it back to, okay, what does the sexy goals equal in money? Is that 10 grand a month you need? Is that 5 grand a month? What, like, get a spreadsheet, work it out. Right, I want to go Whole Foods. Okay, that's going to cost a lot. I want to go Waitrose. It's going to cost a lot.
Mm,
I want a Mercedes on lease. That's going to build up a spreadsheet and put in every single cost, childcare, holidays, this, and eventually you'll reach a figure. Let's say it's 10 grand a month. Okay. So now let's say 10 grand a month. What's that? 10 to 12 HMOs. And that's about 40 buy to lets. Okay. Break it down. How much in deposits do you need? 25 grand a deposit, 25 times 40. That's a lot. You'll have a little breakdown at this point, but then keep breaking it down, keep working it, and then get to
yeah,
what you said about
yeah,
systems, which is,
yeah.
if I need 40 buy to lets, I need 2,000 viewings, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Okay, what do I need to do daily to achieve that? And I'm writing a book at the moment, like the ultimate guide to BRR, and I break
Yeah,
down this over like 4 or 5 pages. But
awesome.
that's what I would say you need to do first, and then get the knowledge, then go
Yeah,
networking, then look at HMOs. But
yeah.
start with the end in mind.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I've got something in my head there. There you go. So thanks, Tej. This has been a really, really, really great discussion. I've enjoyed it. Once again, appreciate you coming on, and yeah, wish you all the best with all your endeavors. Look forward to your book coming out.
Thank you.
Tell us your book again, and where can we get it?
So if people send me a DM on Instagram or an email
Yeah.
or on Facebook, I'll send you a link to the waiting list, but it will be on Amazon in a few weeks if I can get my act together.
Okay. And what's it called?
Oh, I don't actually know, but
Okay.
it's going to be something along the lines of the guide to BRR or
Yeah. Okay.
buying property quickly and profitably, something like that.
Yeah. Whatever it's called, I'm going to get it. So thanks, Tej, and
Thanks for
all the
having me.
best.